It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV brings you the latest edition of Real Talk, and I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 100 Latino, via the Latino Spirit Online magazine. For all the haters, here's a reminder for 2020, 2021, and now in 2022, and certainly the Garden State's most beloved and factually accurate political commentator. Yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Hoping you're all having a wonderful start to the month of June. Happy June, ladies and gentlemen. A shout out to all my Geminis out there celebrating a birthday here in the month of June. Hope you all having a wonderful sort of midway point of the year here in 2022. A lot to discuss. Before I forget, let me have a little cocky and victory tea for my New York Yankees. Hold on one second. That tea tastes good because my New York Yankees are not only in first place, but have the best record in baseball. How about that, all you haters? Especially out those in Queens who need a reminder that the Yankees run New York. Don't ever forget that. But the long season ahead of us, but I'm very happy as a fellow fan of the Evil Empire and Pinstripe Nation here in North Jersey. And folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so here this evening on Facebook Live via StreamYard and also on the Jersey First YouTube page. Make sure you check out Jersey First TV on their Facebook. Make sure you follow them on both Instagram and Twitter. And certainly check out their website, www.jerseyfirst.org. That's jersey1st.org. Make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at The Phenomenal Professor. And also follow me on Twitter at NoFilterUribe. Folks, make sure you tune in because at the end of tonight's broadcast, I will have this week's winner of who's the bad journalist in the state of New Jersey this week. You definitely don't want to miss that. But first, ladies and gentlemen, it is primary day. A lot of issues on the table tomorrow, but an issue that's near and dear to me is medical freedom. And without a doubt, a very worthwhile organization here in the Garden State standing up for parents, for children, for medical freedom in New Jersey is the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. Wow, that's a mouthful. Again, you can check out their website at www.NJPHIPAC. And certainly a lot to talk about. This worthwhile organization, folks, is their board chair and one of their co-founders, Miss Felicia Milelli and Miss Rula Ballantyne here on Real Talk. Ladies, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Fernando. Thank you for having us on. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited here. Again, I know a lot of my male audience will be very happy tonight. That's for certain. I got a lot of DMs today after that promo flow, and they were like, Fernando, what's up? And I'm like, yo, I get the best looking guest. What can I say? You know, that's just that's a fixture here on Real Talk. But ladies, seriously, thank you for joining us here this evening. I know my audience is looking forward to this. Again, ladies and gentlemen, check out their website, www.njphipac.org. You'll see the donate button in green on the right-hand corner. Listen, I know it's the summer. We're getting back to normal, thankfully, after COVID. We're back to work. We're going back to school, whatever, dropping off the kids. Do me a favor in the mornings, instead of having that extra duper, super duper mega cappuccino macchiato at Starbucks, which thanks to Uncle Joe is probably like $9 now, and that breakfast sandwich, again, thanks to Uncle Joe, is probably $10 now. Do me a favor, save that money, get summer ready, right? Because you want to hit the beach, right, folks? Save that money, go to donate now, and click on it. Your donation online is safe and secure, and it is indeed tax deductible. Ladies, I want to make sure I gave a plug there for NJPHIPAC. Now, ultimately, as I'm looking here at the website, you are an independent, nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots political action committee. For everyone at home, that's a large mouthful. In plain English, what does that mean?
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for having us on. I first want to say, yes, NJ5, New Jersey Public Health Innovation PAC is a mouthful. So we go by NJ5PAC for short. That helps out a lot. But a political action committee is an organization that's set up to collect funds from people in the state, from all walks of the state that are in a shared, like-minded, shared commitment to protect and strengthen health freedom. And that's why we started NJ5PAC. We collect funds and then help support and elevate the elections of candidates that align with our mission. And we'll talk about what the need was for doing that. Obviously, the current climate, but this has been going on for us. It's been a battle for many of the board members for decades, protecting medical freedom in New Jersey. And so when we collect those funds, again, they're contributed to legislators and helping them to become prevalent during elections and be seen and be heard regarding this issue. We've taken that a step further. We like to consider ourselves a bridge to our community because we are grassroots. It's important to us to highlight those candidates. So we do that via our PAC chat lives, which you can find on our YouTube channel. That's again, NJPHIPAC. And then you can see there during those PAC chats, all the legislators that we've vetted to ensure that they're aligned with our mission and that they plan to help promote and also create legislation that will, obviously, and vote on legislation that will help to continue to protect and strengthen health freedom. So we like to be that bridge to our community. So please go and check that out on our YouTube channel.
Now, Rula, we'll get to the endorsements because tomorrow's primary day, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure that you get out and vote. Polls open at 6 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. A lot of interesting races, especially in Central and South Jersey for primary candidates. So we'll talk about who NJPHIPAC is endorsing this year because they value medical freedom, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Rula, when we talk about medical freedom, it's a very loaded word. It's a term that's near and dear to me. As I mentioned, I am not vaccinated. I didn't care to get vaccinated, and I'm not trying to sort of minimize the severity of COVID. I understand it has killed millions of people. It has sickened hundreds and thousands more. Okay, I've been very fortunate. I don't know if it's all my multiple trips to Las Vegas over the years or partying down the Jersey Shore or partying at Webster Hall, at Limelight, Tunnel, whatever. Maybe I'm immune. I don't know, but I've been lucky. But I'm not trying to make light of it, but I've been fortunate. I didn't feel a need to get vaccinated. I've been great. I've been very careful. 2 years later, I don't want to say I won, but I think I did. I held out. I'm able to go back to work, not get vilified. Well, not entirely, but not get persecuted like many have for advocating for medical freedom. Why is it such a controversial topic?
Fernando, it's a controversial topic because before COVID, right, we were kind of persecuted for just speaking about this issue. Anytime you had an opinion that was not in line with what the masses had to think or say, right? That's why they came up with the term anti-vaxxer, is a way to dehumanize us and our issue and make it that, real valid concerns of parents and individuals to kind of delegitimize those concerns. So, we had the term anti-vaxxer coined when really we were just concerned citizens with real questions and real concerns. We hate to use the term "I told you so," but in 2019, our group was smaller, right? This issue was kind of a backroom discussion that legislators would, kind of whisper campaigns. We support you, but I really don't want to touch this issue. And then COVID happened. And this issue landed on the doorstep of many people that you never saw. They never even thought twice about this. So we, kind of shot out the warning like, hey, eventually this will affect you and this will affect your family. And it has. So our community exponentially grew in COVID. I mean, if there's, like you said, Fernando, it was a very serious pandemic. We do not make light of it. But if there's a silver lining, is that our community really grew, and more people, parents who never looked into politics, never talked politics, never thought that this was something they had to worry about, are now aware and speaking up. And legislators who never spoke about this issue in 2020, you saw this issue become kind of the main focus of many campaigns. It was a talking point. No longer was it the discussion you had behind closed doors. So it's medical freedom. It's just the right to make a choice for yourself and your family without the interference of government or undue constraint.
All right, well said. Folks, it's 6:10 here on the East Coast. If you're just joining us live here on Facebook Live via StreamYard and also on Jersey First TV via YouTube, my guests this week are the board chair and one of the co-founders of the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. Wow, I can't imagine saying that 3 times sober, much less impaired. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Go with New Jersey PHIPAC.
Yeah, New Jersey PHIPAC. Miss Felicia Milelli and Miss Rula Ballantyne join me here tonight on Real Talk. Felicia, let's discuss a little bit about, and Rula brought up a good term about medical freedom. Certainly the term anti-vaxxer became such a polarizing term during COVID, during that election season. It continues to be very, a word that elicits a lot of different responses in people. When we talk about medical freedom, does that extend to, let's say, parents you've talked to on the campaign trail or just at town halls or panels that you've hosted? When it comes to other forms of vaccinations, we know that, vaccinations at birth also generate a lot of topics, right? People are concerned about maybe there's a correlation between vaccines at birth for newborns and the correlation, let's say, with autism. Again, I'm not trying to create hysteria here. I'm not trying to create a controversy, but that's a term and that's a narrative that gets discussed a lot because it seems to all get sort of conjoined together. Oh, if you're an anti-vaxxer for this, then you must be an anti-vaxxer for that. Let's separate fact from fiction here.
Sure. Well, it really comes down to trying to protect your body autonomy and informed consent. In 1986, President Reagan passed a law that removed liability from vaccination from companies that were producing vaccines. And in that time, because you're talking about childhood vaccines, so I just wanted to touch on this because during that time, there were a handful of vaccines, possibly that you got. You're talking about when you were younger, maybe receiving less. And then right after that law was passed it was actually an act in 1986. Then you saw an explosion of vaccines, and yeah, there are some parents that they put their faith in their doctors and they do what is told and they follow that schedule exactly. And maybe they've read the package inserts and they're okay with what's in them. But for the parents that have looked into these vaccines and read all of the ingredients and really questioned it and looked at some additional science than what's just coming through mainstream and saw that maybe there's some questions and saw that there are adverse reactions to the vaccines and again, what's in it and really detailing that and then compare that with the path of their life and how they choose to lead the life and how they want to, eat and use natural remedies and those types of modalities instead of medicine or in addition to, complementary to. So there's different variables. To your exact question is there are different variables. And what Rula said, it's about choice. It's being able to decide where you want to draw the line. Because as we saw with COVID, it was different for everybody. So maybe you came into this in 2019 when they were trying to remove the religious exemption, or you were involved in 1986 when they added the act, or perhaps now COVID, and you said with the first injection, I need this. I want to protect my grandmother. And that's it's going to happen because I believe what they're telling me. But then when they produced the booster and said, you have to get the booster to keep your job. Well, then you were like, well, wait, hold on. I just got it. I had the vaccine. I got the booster. I didn't get the booster, but I had COVID. Why am I still getting the booster? Well, maybe that's where your line was drawn. So everybody has a different point. And it's really what we're trying to protect is choice and bodily autonomy, informed consent, and the ability for the parent to keep the relationship with the doctor and themselves to make the best decisions for their child. Because we know that everybody is uniquely different and is not a one size fits all. We're all bio individuals and different things react differently to each of us.
Rula, Felicia just brought up a really good term that I've used excessively on this show, and that's to describe the COVID approach here in the Garden State. I've been fortunate even last year and during COVID to visit 2 great freedom-loving states like Florida and Texas, 2 states that I love. Here in the Garden State, it seemed like Governor Murphy, and even across the river with, Governor Touchy-Feely at the time, Governor Cuomo, and then other governors sort of went with this very all-invasive, one-size-fits-all approach to COVID when we know that in New Jersey, that was not the right approach. It should have been sort of a regional, I would argue, a regional type of paradigm that should have been explored. And I think you saw parts of the state, the economy, businesses get destroyed, some never coming back, kids going to school virtually for almost 2 years who knows, maybe 5 years from now, if not less, we're going to start seeing some cognitive results or testing or data that's going to ultimately prove how harmful this was to our kids. I mean, I was teaching remotely. I mean, I get it. It was nice for me to be here in my pajamas, but I knew that wasn't really education. I work in higher ed, and that wasn't the case. I can only imagine for my fellow educators at the lower grade levels how challenging that was. You know, your parents, both of you, right? That's my understanding.
Correct.
And the reason that you're so adamant about this cause is because you're not just speaking as advocates. You're speaking as parents, and you saw what the COVID approach in New Jersey, what the harm that it did. Never mind the physical harm, but there's going to be cognitive, mental health variables that are yet to be explored that we're going to learn probably the hard way here in New Jersey that has ultimately affected people. It's why people went to Trenton and mobilized and protested, and the liberal media here in New Jersey sort of diminished you, not you collectively, but organizations like yourselves, and poo-pooed it. Oh, these are just hysterics. These are just right-wing crazies. I've looked at your stuff. I've looked at your content. You're not right-wing. You're not right-wing crazies. You're not some hyperactive, hyperbolic, maniacs. You're concerned parents. And I think that was another disservice that happened during this, is that the liberal media vilified organizations like yours, and that was wrong.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that came out of COVID and with our governor, as we saw with one stroke of a pen, he was able to unilaterally make decisions and X'd out the legislative process, right? So beyond the issue of vaccines, we saw companies that were shut down, people lost their livelihood, parents couldn't decide whether they were able to put a mask on their child or not. It was through executive order, and there came a time when mask mandates were lifted in many states, like Florida, where there was no correlation between outbreaks in schools and the removal of mask mandates. And we consistently heard from our governor, we follow the science. We follow the science. He was never transparent in the science that he was following. So nobody knew what science he was exactly following. And why did COVID, function differently in the state of Florida than it did in New Jersey? It was wild. So we watched parents were finally awakened to the fact, whether you were, whatever side of the aisle you were on, that no man should have that much power, right? To make these decisions with the stroke of a pen. And with a stroke of a pen, he really covered the faces of all our children. And that is another thing that parents should have had the decision to make. What was your comfort level, right? If you wanted to, again, this is not about whether we're telling you take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine, put a mask on your child, don't put a mask on your child. What do you feel comfortable doing with your body and your child's body? That should not be coming from a governor. It should not be coming from any governmental bureaucrat, just the family, just the parents. We know best.
I'm with you, ladies, and you said it perfectly, where the governor, again, and the reason I've called him the emperor, and other people have too, is because it felt like the emperor. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so when I think of Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, I was thinking of sort of this tyrannical rule that the governor had. And unfortunately, the legislature that's governed by one party never stood up to him. And I've called them out, among other things, for making this the most expensive state to live in the union, but also for not standing up to the governor when other states and other state legislatures, when they had to, did that with their governors. I think it was really disappointing. I know that your organization and others marched on Trenton collectively and consistently, and you were sort of marginalized and dismissed as, oh, look at these crazy right-wingers. This is not a political issue. It's not like COVID decides, well, we're going to infect a conservative before we can infect a liberal or a progressive or one of these economically illiterate leftists. No, that's not the case. And I think it was really alarming that organizations like yours were not, again, respected when we know that your membership was growing for a reason. It's not because you're sitting there, mouthing off pleasantries. You're talking about facts and science and data. And that's something that one side of the aisle in Trenton wasn't doing. Is that fair to say?
So really, that is why we launched the PAC. We wanted to take our advocacy efforts to the next level and not to take away from the years of advocacy that was done prior to the development of the PAC. We thank them, we recognize that, but we knew there was something missing. For example, we looked at other states like Texas who had really effective medical freedom PACs. And we looked to them and said, hey, show us your ways. And they were gracious enough to guide us into how, to launch a medical freedom pack. And there was nothing like that in the state of New Jersey. And what that did, and to kind of give a pat on our back, it opened up a lot of doors. We had discussions with legislators from both sides of the aisle that we never really had before. There were people who were, we refer to them as our friendlies that were with us. And there were some people that we never had discussions before. And it was good. So the development of the PAC really kind of broke open some doors and allowed us to educate legislators on our issue. And sometimes you would see that kind of light bulb go off and realize, hey, these are not some crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. These are real people, real mothers with concerned issues who are not hysterics. And I really, we pride ourselves in bringing that type of professionalism to this issue, and making legislators comfortable in discussing this issue and not really running away from it.
Felicia, it's hard not to insert politics into this discussion. And again, be it far from me as a political scientist to not try to evoke politics into everything, but unfortunately, this has become a very big political issue. It became a big political issue in 2020, certainly last year during the gubernatorial race and legislative races, and now during these midterms. And, for me, what's most alarming is that this doesn't have to get political. It should just be commonsensical and scientific, really. And it's funny to me because, I'm one of the few conservative opinion journalists out there in New Jersey on a weekly basis. My colleagues on the left, it's funny when they want to believe in science, they want to believe in 55 genders, but they don't want to believe in this science when it comes to data concerning COVID. So it's fascinating to me. But Felicia, from your experience and people you've talked to all across the state, events you've gone to, events you've organized, has there been an unfair political label put on NJPHIPAC?
Well, Fernando, we are an independent, nonprofit, nonpartisan political action committee. Just for that reason, we support legislators who are going to stand up for our issue because, like you said, this is a basic human right. You mentioned something before that triggered me to think like we should be safeguarded here. We should be safeguarded by the Nuremberg trial, by code, by the Constitution, and we're not. And that's what we're fighting for. So are we as an organization being politicized? Well, we're now almost forced into that lane to be a political action committee. But our mission and what we speak and what we communicate is always transparent. That is who we are. We are fighting for medical freedom as parents, as concerned citizens, and we will do what it takes. We're not taking sides. Okay, although sure. The issue has been defined for us.
No, it certainly has. Folks, it's 6:24 here on the East Coast. If you're just joining us live here on Facebook, via StreamYard, and also on the Jersey First TV YouTube page, it's my pleasure to bring out here the board chair and one of the co-founders of NJPHIPAC, Miss Felicia Milelli and Miss Rula Ballantine, here tonight on Real Talk. Folks, you want to definitely stick around towards the closing of the show. I'll have my Bad Journalist of the Week award. You definitely want to stick around for that one, for sure. Felicia, let me stay with you here. Again, tomorrow's primary day. I was on my smartphone earlier at work today, and I saw a very good presentation via Facebook Live with NJPHIPAC, and there was a great 2022 New Jersey primary voters guide. And folks, if you haven't done so, please go to their Facebook page and like it, and you'll see that recently as it was just posted, and it's pinned on their Facebook page as well. Let me go through some of these names here, and I want to sort of get your take really as to what went into this selection process. I see a lot of R's. Surprised to see a couple of D's here on there, and a couple of that were sort of multiply equally qualified candidates along Republican lines. No primary endorsement up here where I live in CD8, all the way up here in Hudson County is as blue as Windex up here, as they say. But let's go down south here. For example, we're looking at Claire Gustafson, as well as the incumbent congressman and U.S. Representative Jeff Van Drew. What was the thought process that went into selecting them for endorsement?
Yes, so we have a multi-level endorsement process. We canvass the entire candidacy. So anyone who's running for election, as per the April date where it closes and you have to have that paperwork submitted. And so as per that time, we canvass the entire, all of the candidates running and give them the opportunity to complete our survey. Once that is submitted, and we follow up with them multiple times to make sure that we're in front of them and that they've seen our messaging. And then once that's completed, that opens the door to the next process, which is a very lengthy interview with the board of directors of NJPHIPAC and the candidate themselves, where we were hitting them with direct questions on these issues to make sure that they would be the right candidate to be the voice for us in this case, Washington, D.C. And so, so Claire, we had a great call with her today. After that, the interview, then we did a debrief where the whole board came together on multiple occasions for hours on edge. And we spoke about each individual district because they have to be kept in their own silo. They are each very unique, and went through that as a board. And ultimately it comes down to a majority vote. There's 7 board members by design. So that could be the nature of our endorsement process.
Okay. Rula, going through the list here, I just did a town hall last week for Ian Smith down in CD3. Interesting that not a particular person was selected. I know that Bob Healy and Ian Smith are having a very hotly contested race down there. We'll find out what happens tomorrow after the polls close at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Certainly in District 4, incumbent U.S. Representative Chris Smith received an endorsement from NJPHIPAC as well. District 5 had multiple equally qualified candidates. Interesting here in 6 and 7, we had Rick Mehta and Roger Bacon, a Republican and a Democrat. What was the thought process there?
So, we, like Felicia said, we canvassed the entire state and anybody that was running. And that meant canvassing both Republicans and Democrats. As you can imagine, the response from the Republican side was a little bit heavier than the response from the Democrat side, which, is telling in itself. However, we did have discussions with multiple candidates from the Democratic Party. And when they met our questions with correct answers and really understood our values, we felt comfortable enough because not all our community are Republicans. Our
Sure.
Democratic base also wants to know where Democrats stand on this issue. And we do our best to bring candidates or viable candidates forward to them, right? Because we know in the primary, as a Republican, you can only vote for a Republican, as a Democrat, only as a Democrat. So when those candidates exist, we really wanted to highlight them and bring them forward. So, as you can see, that we had 2 districts in where Democrats were endorsed, and they're great. We also interviewed them on our PAC Chat Live. So if anyone's curious about what their positions are, they can go onto our page, our YouTube channel, and they can sit and listen. And I think most people will come to the determination on their own why they were given an endorsement.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, I can say this as it's my show, and I know you're not going to say it, ladies. You'll take the high road. I don't have to. A lot of Dems in Central South Jersey, they're more concerned with pronouns and reminding us that they failed high school biology and bathrooms and virtue signaling than talking about medical freedom. That's just my opinion. And I'm sure many of my audience share the same,
Sure.
as well, because I've been talking about it consistently. Moving on here into District 8 up here by me, North Jersey. Again, a very blue area. It seems like it's almost a certainty that the son of U.S. Senator Robert Menendez Jr. will win tomorrow, go on to succeed retiring U.S. Representative Albio Ceres. But nearby, even we got 9 and 10. We got Billy Premp, who has been a very loud proponent about medical freedom. He's also been part of the MAGA crowd, ultra conservatives in a sense. When it comes to him, I've talked to Billy. I've interviewed him, and certainly he's very much an advocate for medical freedom. In District 10, I did see 2 endorsements, 1 Republican and 1 Democrat, Dr. Akil Kalfani and David Pinkney. Very interesting selections here. Felicia, what went into that? I know you sort of explained the process, but what stood out about them specifically?
Well, I have to just add to your question that there were a plethora of people who came forward to talk about medical freedom. It was so refreshing for us that so many candidates put this on their websites as something that they cared about. But with certain candidates, such as Akil and David Pinkney, the comprehension for the issue and the enthusiasm really just excelled. And it was, as Rula explained, when you're in the primary, either you're going to vote Democrat because you're registered Democrat, you're going to vote Republican. So we wanted to highlight both and let them know, let our community know that if there are other issues aligned with them, then this is the person, the representative in that silo that is going to support medical freedom. These are our voter guide based on what we did, that whole endorsement process to really bring forward the correct candidate that will be a voice in Washington, D.C. for this issue.
For sure. Rula, just running out the list here, in CD11, Toby Anderson, had a chance to talk to him at a recent convention, interviewing him for Jersey First TV, and then rounding out the group, another Republican, Darius Mayfield. It seems like these are all candidates that have been very emphatic. You look at their websites, you look at their social media. They've been talking about medical freedom for some time now, not just because it's campaign season, but that's been one of their staunch dynamics of their platforms. It has to be refreshing for both of you ladies and your board to hear this. But moving forward, even after primary day, again, it's up until November. This is an issue that I know is not going to disappear anytime soon, and rightfully so, because it's an issue that should concern every single parent, because, again, this could transpire in some other form of pandemic. We could have a spike conveniently. We could have, I don't know, the 57th variant where people need the 63rd booster, et cetera. I'm not trying to be funny, folks, and I get it. That's just me because I'm a smart ass. But that's a real concern for people, where we're seeing this narrative being propped up, again, by the liberal media nationally and here in New Jersey, where, hey, listen, if you're not cooperating and you're not getting boosted and you're not doing A or B or C, then you're a bad person. You deserve to be vilified. You don't deserve to live among us. That's real rhetoric, folks. Those are actual words said by a political party, not just New Jersey, but nationally. I'm standing up to it, and I know that organizations like yours are sick about seeing this so politicized, and it's become extremely tribal, ladies.
Absolutely. I mean, you see these sort of mandates on a federal level as well as on a state level, specifically with the healthcare workers. We saw them, and they were frontline workers. They were heroes. They were out there in the mix when everyone was staying home, and they were honored. But then the narrative quickly changed. If you're not a nurse or a doctor who is vaccinated, and then by, I believe it was May 11th, boosted, you are no longer entitled to your job and your livelihood. I mean, think about that. We're in the United States of America. If you don't comply to a medical procedure, you are no longer employed, and you are no longer have the right of earning an income for your family. I mean, think about that. When have we seen something like that happen in history? Our military workers, same thing. If they were not up to date, we saw people who were in the military, different positions, be discharged from their positions after, 40 years of service to our country. That is not the America I am comfortable living in. And that is something that I would never sit back and just, not do anything about, right? So yes, as mothers, we do this for our children, but we do this really for every citizen of our state and across the country, right? And New Jersey is unique in a sense, right? When in 2019, when the bill came forward to remove religious exemption to vaccination, we were the only state that was able to stop it. When it happened in California, when it happened in New York, when it happened in Pennsylvania, I'm sorry, not Pennsylvania, it was New York, Connecticut, correct.
Maine.
It passed, right? So New Jersey did something that was historical in a sense, where we stopped this. So, I hope that we kind of set this precedent going forward, that New Jersey will not comply and kind of just follow the status quo. We know how to push back against these type of tyrannical overreach.
Yeah.
And let me just say this, and when it comes to like do not comply, that's something I haven't been doing since adolescence. Okay. So when I would be hearing this narrative from people, whether in the workplace or in other sort of gatherings, I would hear, well, Fernando, what point are you trying to prove? You know, are you just trying to be, you know, the anti-hero or defiant? No, I'm making a personal choice. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I would just hear, well, why don't you just get vaccinated? Why don't you just get boosted? I'm like, why don't you like not, you know, eat that third cheeseburger? How about that? Like, why don't you leave me alone? I'll leave you alone. Okay. Like, it's something that really infuriated me when it came. And listen, I'm a big sports fan, as you can tell. I mean, I remember not being able to go to games because arenas in New York City had a vaccine mandate, even here in New Jersey. I'm a big hockey fan. I had to wait until the vaccine mandates were over at the Prudential Center so I could go watch my Devils. I just thought it was such an overreach. I know a lot of New Jerseyans share the same perspective you ladies do, as well as your board and the organization, where this became tyrannical, overly invasive. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you want to talk about, you know, there's one political party that talks about authoritarianism. This was bordering on that. And that's not me being hysterical either.
Yeah. You know, it's important to note because so many people have felt their shoulders release, you know, since the taking off of the masks and things starting to be a little bit looser here and there. But the truth of the matter is the bill that Rula was mentioning before, the religious exemption repeal bill, has been around for a really long time, and it's not going away. In some version, it gets re-upped every cycle. In addition to that, there's other bills, like a bill that would remove the ability, that would enable a 14-year-old child to go and get a vaccine, any vaccine, including an emergency youth authorization vaccine, that they wanted to without parental consent.
That's
That
crazy.
is a real threat that we're faced here with. Yes, it's crazy. It sounds crazy. You know, in that case, how does a 14-year-old child know that dad's family has a history of this, or this, and that they might have to bring that forward to their doctor? There is so much risk that is piled onto that, and liability for the physicians or anybody who's allowing that without consulting with the parent. And so that's a real bill. There's other threats that are still facing us with regards to the New Jersey registry. And Assemblyman Conaway just put up a bill in order to expand on that as well, to include adults for the long haul. Right now, Governor Murphy's executive order had an executive order to make sure that there was a registry of adults who got and received the COVID vaccine. And now this bill would basically prolong that indefinitely.
That is just madness. Rula, we're about to wrap up soon here. And ladies, folks, if you're just joining us now, it's 6:37 on the East Coast. Here tonight on Jersey First TV via Facebook Live and also on YouTube is the board chair and one of the co-founders of NJPHIPAC, the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. Whoa, I need a drink after this.
You got it. You did good.
Getting it down. And the board chair and one of the co-founders, Miss Felicia Milelli, and Miss Rula Ballantyne here on Real Talk. Ladies, before we call it a night here, I have to say that what you're doing along with the board and your organization is extremely courageous, and it's admirable, because a lot of people, you know, talk is one thing. The other thing, as I tell my students all the time, you can talk all you want. You can, you know, hide behind your keyboards and characters on social media and type whatever you want. But when you can mobilize and get attention and get recognition and make a difference, that's when you know that as Americans, we're demonstrating, we're assembling in a way that's going to be productive, that's going to get results. As a nonprofit, I mean, obviously, it's, you know, you have your responsibilities, you have your children, you have your lives, your careers. How really exhausting has this been to run this organization? And by the same token as well, when we talk about any nonprofit, I mean, listen, it needs to get funded. How is fundraising going? Are you running into obstacles when it comes to fundraising? How is it writing grants or proposals for grants? What's been the feedback or the reception for people that you reach out to ultimately? Because listen, dollars help, funding helps, it makes a difference. What are some of the obstacles that you have faced, Felicia, with this organization?
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. We are there's a combination of moms and dads on our board. We have one male, and all have children and have committed to this very deeply. And so it is very time consuming, but it is something that it's a hill that we would all die on. And our children and our families, our husbands, our wives have been extremely supportive to make it possible for us to do this, because they see the importance of it for the country at large, the state at large, and ultimately our children and our grandchildren. So in that respect, yes, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Fundraising, we have a lot of passionate people in the state that are ready to support us when we've needed them for fundraising or volunteer efforts. They're really right there for us, the community at large. But we're not a pharmaceutical company. We are not an arm of a large corporation. And so we rely on the contributions, whether small or large, from our community to help support these efforts. Because, truth be told, we're a state PAC, so congressionally we're able to endorse and highlight these candidates, but the real game is going to begin again in just a short couple months, when we have to pivot very quickly for the 2023 New Jersey state elections. And there's been redistricting and a whole slew of other issues. And I just think that I need to stress this one important factor, that when we surveyed the legislature in 2000 and for the 2021 election, we realized that we have no room to lose a senator or assemblyman that supports our issue. So with this redistricting, there are great threats to our health and our bodily autonomy and our freedom. So if you care about this issue, be one of those people and please donate. Go to our website. It's NJPHIPAC.org, and you can sign up there to stay connected, learn more about us, and ultimately please support us with a donation as well.
Rula, real quick here. Have you gotten great feedback from other organizations similar to yours from other states?
Yes, from other states, we've had an inpouring of people who said, we've seen what you've done. We want to do the same. And we've met with several state leaders from out of New Jersey who we gave our kind of background, what we did, how we've accomplished it, in hopes that they kind of replicate what we've been able to do in New Jersey. And it's great to watch. We have people who come to our social media pages from other states who say, oh my, I'm sending, support from California or New York, because they really watched their states fall on this issue, where they said, I have tears in my eyes, like specifically in 2020 when we fought that bill, I have tears in my eyes watching this, so the support from out of state has been wonderful. And, we're happy to help where we can. And, hopefully one day there's a PAC in every state representing this issue.
Folks, we're going to leave it right there. Once again, I want to thank Ms. Felicia Milelli and Ms. Rula Ballantyne, the board chair and one of the co-founders of the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. I'm going to get this. I'm going to be saying it all night, I think, later on this evening. But folks, again, check out their website, www.njphipac.org. Once again, the green donate button on the right-hand side. Hey, again, as you're getting back to normal, going back to work, listen, get summer ready. Forget about that extra mega cappuccino in the morning, that breakfast sandwich. Get summer ready, folks. Take that money, donate it to them. Your online donation is safe and secure and tax deductible with njphipac.org. Ladies, I'm going to thank you for joining us here on Real Talk. I definitely want to have you back on later this summer as we talk about, again, the upcoming New Jersey legislative races in 2023. And again, once we go off the air, please share the episode the rest of this week. I do appreciate that. I appreciate being so gracious and coming on here and being a fan of Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Ladies, I'll give you the last word here real quick. Felicia first and then Rula.
Thank you. It was a pleasure coming on and being able to speak to your audience about this issue. It is so important. We appreciate that support, and and we'd love to come back on again. Thanks, Fernando.
Okay.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you for helping us deliver our message to your viewers. You have a great show here. I've been watching you for months, and we're happy to be on board. And I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow is an important day. It's the primary, right? And it is always important to get out there and cast your vote if you want to make a difference, right? As cliche as that might sound, it's the only way to do it. So I implore everyone to go out, take a look at our guide, and hopefully, make a decision that you feel is best for medical freedom.
We'll leave it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, they are Felicia Milelli and Rula Ballantyne, again, board chair and one of the co-founders of the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. I can just keep doing it in one shot. I'm so proud.
You're going to be saying that in your sleep tonight.
I thought I was going to mess that up. But ladies, thank you so much. And thank you for being fans of Real Talk here on Jersey First TV. I'll talk to you later this summer here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. Take care, ladies.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good night. Folks, great episode with these lovely ladies. And certainly, again, check out NJPHIPAC.org, an extremely important nonprofit organization standing up for medical freedom like I've been doing on this show. Very few journalists like myself have been able to do that. And I really, really value their time this evening and really joining me here and explaining the virtue really of what this organization stands for and also how effective their message continues to be here in the Garden State. You can check out the episode in its entirety, obviously, if you're just joining us live here on Facebook Live and also on the Jersey First TV YouTube page. Folks, before I close out this week, I have to announce, obviously, this week's winner of the Bad Journalist in New Jersey. Now, let me just start off by saying that when it comes to journalists appearing on television or online radio, I am a person that excels at both. I was just on In the Middle with Joey Block, an exceptional new up-and-coming young journalist in Central Jersey, whose show In the Middle streams online on Fox Sports Radio. There, again, I believe AM 1450, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me on it, but just Google In the Middle with Joey Block, BLOCH. You'll definitely want to check out my appearance today. But one of the things about being a journalist, folks, and being an opinion journalist is you want to be able to go on television or radio and look presentable and sound credible and sound coherent, right? And not put people to sleep. Well, I just got to say, listen, a shout out to a buddy of mine, Freddie Snowflake. He's a very gifted writer who's also very talented with Insider NJ. I happened to catch him on Reporters Roundtable on NJPBS. And folks, I watch all these shows because I'm a political junkie, not just sort of the nightly news, right? Tucker Carlson. I watch, garbage channels like CNN, MSNBC, right? I'm one of the 12 viewers that CNN has every night. I'm one of the 19 viewers that MSNBC has every night because I watch everything. But on a state level, I also watch shows like Reporters Roundtable on NJPBS, Power and Politics on News 12, as well as, other town hall type events and weekly podcasts as well. So a shout out to Freddie Snowflake, who appeared last week on Reporters Roundtable. And by the way, what a delight to not have to see Uncle Dave, David Cruz, for the second week in a row. I don't know what happened to Dave. I don't care. It's just nice not to have to look at Uncle Dave on Reporters Roundtable. So shout out to Colleen O'Day, filling in for him, and a great job. Hey, NJPBS, do me a favor. Leave Colleen O'Day there. She's a nice lady, very intelligent, very, very credible and reputable, and she won't put you to sleep like Uncle Dave will. So good job by her, and a good job by Freddie Snowflake to go on there and really articulate the points about primary day. But when I think about journalists that are doing a disservice, of course, not Freddie Snowflake, because I happen to like Freddie, but it's his colleague, yes, and it's his editor-in-chief, and we all know who he is, folks. Yes, it's Maxie Pizarro. Yes, the editor-in-chief of Insider NJ. Yes, the horse lover. As you can tell, he loves horses, and probably horses love him. I don't know whose turn it is really, but the point is that when I watch shows online, it's important that, you go on there and you be interesting, you be different, you be, personable. And folks, again, I watch Power and Politics on NJ, on News 12, and a shout out to Alex Sedan. You have a great show. I enjoy watching it every week. Whenever you need a very well-dressed and handsome-looking, opinion journalist, hey, come my way, and I'm happy to, donate my time to contribute to your outstanding show. But when I was watching Power and Politics this weekend, obviously I got to see State Senator Edward Durr. And then towards the end of the show, I got to see Maxie Pizarro. And folks, again, I mean, Jesus Christ, has there ever been a bigger charisma vacuum in New Jersey journalism than Max Pizarro? And listen, Max, I'll give you your due. You write a couple good articles lately, the primary preview, right, for tomorrow. Apparently you got a haircut. You look a little presentable on TV. It seemed like you're not in a broom closet or in some closet with a bunch of messy books behind you. Because for anyone that's ever watched his god-awful interviews, that's what it looks like. And, I'm watching Alex Adana. You can tell he's like sort of struggling with Max. Again, the charisma vacuum that is Max Pizarro. I mean, folks, I don't think Max could suck the charisma out of a corpse. That's how bad it is. Okay. And I'm not saying that I am the end all be all for opinion journalism and media appearances, but I do a damn good job. I look good on TV. I sound good on TV. What more do you want? But again, let's get back to the service that Maxie's doing. Okay. As he's talking about primary candidates, one thing that really stood out for me was sort of this condescending tone about discussing candidates that are screaming about vaccine mandates or vaccines in general. No, Max, it's not, and no one's screaming. People are standing up for their medical freedom. Okay, people on your side of the aisle, okay, because we all know who you voted for in 2020. Let's not get it twisted. Okay, but people on your side of the aisle would vilify someone like me who, A, never got vaccinated, is not going to get vaccinated because it's my body and I know what's right for it. Okay. And I survived for 2 years hearing all the vilification and the vitriol about, oh, Fernando, why aren't you vaccinated? Because I don't effing feel like it. Okay. But people like you, Maxie, want to minimize candidates that rally against vaccine mandates or vaccines in general. Right? You're more than happy to, vilify people like that or, have that snotty, condescending tone that you have with that obnoxious face that you put out on TV interviews, right? Now, nobody else in New Jersey media has the what to say this about you or to you, but I'm happy to do that. So that's a disservice you do to journalism to start with. Now, again, never mind the fact that your boss or the other co-founder, Pete O'Nelia, decides it's a good idea to sort of track you out there on shows when we all know you do a disservice. I mean, you put people to sleep. You put people to sleep in your interviews and you're putting people to sleep on Power and Politics. Thank God that, my God, you were the last segment on that show because if you were leading off, my God, I think I would have fallen asleep listening to you ramble on with that condescending tone that you have. But again, it's not just about, and I'm not taking little personal shots at Max. I don't like him personally. But what I don't like about him worse is the fact that he's doing an immense disservice to journalism because you're going on a program sort of minimizing people that are standing up about, against vaccine mandates, right? And vaccines. Why don't you talk about what's really at the heart of this election season? You close out the segment talking about abortion and guns. Max, listen, reproductive rights are not under attack in New Jersey, okay? And as far as gun control or whatever else you want to sort of talk about in a narrative, I get it. We've seen some shootings recently, and my heart goes out to those families that are deeply affected. It does. My heart goes out to them. But New Jersey is one of the most difficult states to obtain a firearm, okay? I mean, just to get a firearms ID card takes forever, okay? So this idea that the governor wants to use this as a rallying cry to, let's implement more gun control. We have the strictest gun laws in the state. What are you talking about? Why don't you write about that, Maxie, instead of going on there and sort of, putting people to sleep with issues that don't matter this election cycle? Okay, no one's talking about abortion. No one's going to be talking about gun control in this state when you can't afford to go down the shore because gas is passing $5 a gallon, if not more. Okay. And I get it that you're very comfortable, right? Making whatever it is you make, I don't know, maybe $100,000 a year to sit on your ass and, go to an occasional party or two and ask really boring questions like you did in Atlantic City. My God. I mean, is there a more robotic, boring ass voice than Max Pizarro when you listen to him talk on any sort of media appearance? That is what it sounds like, folks. It's awful. Okay. Like maybe you're not affected by everyday meat and potato, okay, bread and butter issues, but millions of New Jerseyans are. Why didn't you write about that? Why don't you write about the fact that we're seeing inflation at levels not seen since the end of the Cold War in the 80s? Or that right now it's costing New Jerseyans almost $2,000 more than at this point last year for groceries? How about you talk about the fact that people that want to go down the shore during this summer beach season have to sort of maybe measure when they go because gas is at $5 a gallon, if not higher. But here you are, like other insufferable columnists at Insider NJ. Again, let's not forget it, because I haven't forgot about little JJ, right? Because I'm sure that insufferable Pride Power list is coming out in a few weeks or soon, because it's Pride Month. And believe me, folks, July 1st cannot come soon enough for me. All right? Yes, I said that out loud. Okay? But Maxie, why don't you write about that? Okay? Why, instead of talking about, issues like gun control and abortion, those are not going to be issues in 2022 during this midterm election. You may want to talk about that because you're clueless and you're out of touch. And it's funny to me when you have the audacity to say on the air, there are just people running for office. They're disconnected from real people. Maxie, you're disconnected from real people. You're not talking about issues that matter during this election cycle. Supply chain, poor mothers just having babies and can't get formula. Again, gas prices. Okay, grocery bills are now suffocating New Jerseyans. But you want to talk about gun control, right? Folks, the war on drugs has been a failure. You want to get drugs? Guess what? You can find a way to get drugs, and they're still illegal, okay? As much as guns are regulated in New Jersey, if you want to find a way to get a gun illegally, you're going to find a way, okay? That's the problem with people who are myopic, like Maxi Pizarro and some of his colleagues, little J.J. Lassiter, as he's sitting there twiddling his thumbs, coming up with his 100 Pride Power list, for example. But that's the problem with Insider NJ. They don't talk about these issues, okay? Fred Snowflake, to his credit, great job, again, on Reporters Roundtable. Talk about this primary season, talk about candidates, and talk about the issues that matter. But you're not, Max, and you're the editor-in-chief, okay? Have some self-awareness. I understand you love horses. Clearly, horses love you. I don't know in which order or, what goes on in the woods, but that's on you. That's none of my business, okay? But have a little more self-awareness. When you go on TV programs and you talk about issues, make sure you know what you're talking about, or at least prioritize issues during this election cycle. I am cringing at what the rest of this election season will look like with clowns like Maxi Pizarro talking in their columns or on media appearances about issues that matter most to New Jerseyans. It's not going to be gun control and abortion, Maxi. Okay, it's going to be about supply chain, about gas prices, about grocery bills, about things that matter to New Jersey residents. But you don't care about that. You're making your nice 6 figures, right? You just got a haircut. You want to look presentable on TV. Well, guess what? A clock is right twice a day too. Have a little more foresight. Write about issues that matter during this election season. Not talk about, vilifying people because they're rallying against vaccine mandates. Well, guess what? That's an important issue for a lot of New Jerseyans, because we all know that the COVID response in New Jersey was wrong. Okay? It killed businesses. It killed people. But you don't want to write about that, right? Or you want to mention, other things during your incoherent rambling. Max, get it together, bro. You're almost 70 years old. You're a grown-ass man in your late 60s, and you're going on media shows and not prioritizing the topics that matter during this election season. You should be ashamed of yourself. I get it. You're almost 70. Maybe, cognitively, maybe you're just not what you used to be. But, bro, get it together. Because you know what? During this election season, we need news sites and journalists that are talking about issues that matter to everyday New Jerseyans. You know who's doing that? Yours truly is. And I'm not afraid to say it. You need to get with it, man. You've been in this business a hell of a lot longer than I have, and you're losing a step. Actually, not a step. You're losing a lot of steps. Actually, you're out of step with what's going on in New Jersey politics. If you didn't see that this weekend on his appearance, go back and watch it. Okay? Again, I feel bad for Alex Zidane. He's a great host, and he asks questions that matter. And when you have guests that bore you to sleep, okay, the charisma vacuum that is Maxi Pizarro, folks, Alex, do me a favor. Get a guest that's going to be lively, entertaining, and informative. I don't know, some journalists up here in Hudson County, just letting you know I'm available whenever you need me, bro. Don't rely on guys like this who are completely out of touch with what's going on this election season. And that's our show for this week. Once again, I want to thank Felicia Milelli and Rudy Ballantyne from the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee for coming on tonight and talking about medical freedom and this election cycle as primary day is tomorrow. Folks, polls open at 6 a.m. Polls close at 8 p.m. Make sure you go vote in the congressional district that you reside in. A lot of interesting races, especially in Central and South Jersey. Certainly, I'll have a little bit of a wrap-up next week as to, again, check me out on all my social media. I have a lot to say about candidates winning tomorrow, who won, who didn't win, why, that, and much more. Folks, again, check it out on my social media. Again, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Instagram, my own personal Instagram at The Phenomenal Professor, and also on Twitter at NoFilterUribe. Once again, folks, I want to thank my guests this evening. Check out www.njphipac.org. Donate to them because they are an exceptional group of ladies and gentlemen on their executive board, standing up for medical freedom, standing up for parents, standing up for children, standing up for those in New Jersey that really care about what medical freedom represents. I'm the only journalist, folks, really, that's talking about this. Not Insider NJ with Maxi Pizzaro. As you can tell, he's too busy, riding horses, or horses are riding him. I don't know which order. Or Uncle Dave with NJPBS, or Tommy Moran, Tommy Boy with the Star Ledger, the Star Liar. I'm the only journalist that's staying up for medical freedom. And I'll continue doing that because it's an issue that matters that much in 2022. It's going to matter in 2023. And I'm sure it's going to matter in 2024. I'm the only one talking about it, and I am proud to do so. Always remember, folks, check out Jersey First TV on their website, www.jerseyfirst.org. That's Jersey First, Jersey1st.org. Make sure you like them on Facebook. And, of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. And always remember, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, you can always rely on Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino. That's right, haters. Get used to it in 2020, 2021, and 2022. You know what? I'm running out of space in my house, folks. You see, let me tell you something. You see all these awards behind me? You see all these plaques? I'm running out of space here because the greatness is just too much. And again, I want to thank the Latino Spirit for once again nominating me for the third consecutive year. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I am the Garden State's most beloved and factually accurate political commentator. Yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Folks, remember, go vote tomorrow, be part of the electoral process, and we'll see you next week here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Folks, have a great rest of your week. And as always, thank you so much for watching.